Oh, welcome to Case Study Time with another Winner's Edge superstar. And we're just going to jump right in, and I'm going to start through the questions here. We're going to see what we can learn and how we can be inspired. So here we are. What is your name, Kai, and where are you in the world? Let's start with that.
Dr. Jr. out of Cocoa, Florida. My real name is Isidoro Acevedo, but patients have a really hard time with that. Yeah.
Isidoro Acevedo. Okay.
Yep.
He's just
Perfect.
known as Junior
Yep.
Acevedo. Okay. And tell everybody where Cocoa, Florida is.
Cocoa is about an hour east of Orlando. So
Okay. So it's by Daytona.
a little bit south of Daytona.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit south of Daytona Beach. How close is it to that chiropractic college over there?
So that's the school that I graduated from. We're about an hour away from Palmer, Florida.
Okay.
We
And
get a lot of students from there. Yeah.
yeah, and you're doing quite a bit. You got students around. You're doing things to help out the students, yes?
Yes, 100%.
And they need it. And you're inspiring a lot of people, so that's awesome. Okay, so he went to Palmer, Florida. What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2021.
In 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't even recall this. How did we meet?
So the way that I heard about you, we didn't meet. Somebody was handing out books in school. So it was like during finals, there was a box of your books in the hallway, and I grabbed one of your books, and I probably read like the first chapter during that time. But for some reason, it stuck in my mind, like it was there. And then when I was working at the joint and I thought of opening my own office, that was the first book that I went to go grab.
Wow, that's interesting. And I don't even remember who I got the books to that dumped them off there at that school. And man, and the thing about it that's a lesson for so many things is we just ordered a bunch of more cases of books because it never ends. Because every quarter there's a new, you know what I mean? It's just this, it just
Yeah.
just endless flow of students. So the book basically sort of kind of caused you to call. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So then that's how we met. What made you join? What got you to go click, I'm going to join?
So our first call, I took the call inside of a restaurant, and you told me that that was a huge mistake. And then you said that I was operating as a lemonade stand, and if I was ready to become a professional, that I would be ready to have a call with you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. without any distractions.
Yeah, and there's a good lesson there too. Just like with you, if you got somebody coming in and they're looking around like this and not listening to what you're saying, well, as soon as you're ready to start some care here, we take our care
Mhm.
seriously, and we know that you do at your office. Yeah, it is one of those deals where, yeah, if I had Tom Brady in front of me, okay,
That's
I'm
exactly
not going
what
to
you
be
said.
dilly-dallying around and asking him how he ties his shoelaces.
Mhm.
I'm gonna, how do I throw perfect passes down the sideline? Okay, so there's some assertiveness there, and it made you realize that hey, to step up to the plate. And is that one of the things that kind of prompted you to start the group?
Yes, I was part of different groups in the past, and it just was like very feel good, rah rah kind of stuff. And I just liked how direct you were. Like I like that type of leadership, that type of coaching. So I
Yeah,
needed somebody that was going to be honest with me, that wasn't going to be give me any BS or
yeah,
like make me feel like I'm amazing. Like that's not what I'm looking for. I
yeah,
want to be the best.
yeah. We want usable data, and I don't care if what form it comes in, but just give me the information I can use. Just tell me
Mhm.
where to go so I don't fly off the road, right?
Yeah.
And versus telling me I'm doing a great job driving, right?
Mm.
Okay, awesome. All right, so you then join as a startup, and you were looking to start your office. Okay, when did your new office open?
The new office opened about a year ago. So January 9th,
Okay.
2023.
Okay, so you've been open about a year.
Correct.
All right, so you got that, ladies and gentlemen. He's been open about a year, was working at the joint, knew there was a bigger, better path, okay, for himself. And he had the book and all of this. We get on the phone and we, prompt some action. Poof, he joins and the office opens. Okay, what's your best collections in a month now?
Best collections in a month is 103,000.
103. Great. Okay. Now, after a year, we do want to ask what's happening debt wise after a year?
So debt wise, I owe 50,000 on my house. Student loans are paid off. and there's not really much more debt.
That's
Like that's
about that.
yeah,
Okay, so you see there, got the loans gone, has a house, owes 50 on the house. You got a lot of equity in the house, don't you?
correct. Yeah,
Yes.
that
Okay, very, very good. And so you see now his focus is got to become more on investments and putting money away and starting to generate passive income to go along with the working income. In fact, we just had a conversation about that just a little bit ago. What are some of your biggest stresses these days?
um I view things a little bit differently. So I look for stress. I right now we were comfortable. We had, you know, the space that we're in. We're doing great. We hit my goal of 100,000. We hit my collections goals for the year. I could have just stayed in this space. Then the space next door became available, and I recognized it for what it was. It's a blessing, but it's also stress. So I leaned into that stress. So I look for things that are uncomfortable and lean into that uncomfortable. So to me, it's more of an excitement than a stress.
Oh, I love that. Do you hear that, everybody? He sees it more as an excitement versus a stress. Because in the back of your mind, it is exciting because it means you can grow and you can challenge yourself and you can expand. And this happens all over the place. And I think he's probably heard this too. How many offices we've had where the neighbor somehow mysteriously disappears so we can
Yeah.
take over that space and do incredible things. It's so exciting. Okay. Um, what Okay. How is Winner's Edge different? Try to be really specific here with other groups that you've seen. You know, just tell a story or an example or try to flavor it up for people. How are we different than any other groups that you've become aware of?
So for me, the biggest thing is the training. So there's not many chiropractic groups that are talking about training daily. So that's not something that I've seen anywhere else. And like I said, I've been to other groups. I've tried to learn from as many people as possible. The only other people I've seen that train are like car salesmen and solar and all these other people that are training, and they're doing a job that's less important than what we're doing, and they're putting more effort than what we're doing. So for me, that training daily to and preparing for each interaction, like I get here and I have all my day twos lined up, and I rehearse my day twos before I start my day. I visualize that patient next to me, and that's something that I learned from you.
Yeah.
And then while we're cleaning the office, I'm always playing one of your videos. So all the CAs are constantly hearing this over and over, and it's just going into their subconscious mind. And it just allows that to be the natural flow of the office.
hmm So you see here, my goal is to give you material, audio material, all the videos that we have. Do these other groups have videos like that?
They have like 10 videos.
Ooh wee.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying here? So the
Mhm.
difference here with having 900 or approaching 1,000 videos, plus a podcast, plus the audio material, plus these recorded Zooms, okay, plus all of our killer affirmations and the booklets and all that stuff. We've got to have that. You got to have. You need the ammo, and then you can use it, and you can bring it to your team. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Um, what are some of your favorite parts of the actual program itself? The what you're getting for what you're paying. Like, oh, I
So,
really like the videos and being able to kick back in a pair of gym shorts. What do you
mhm.
like?
So the goal setting systems, having systems in place, and being the affirmations, like it resonated with what I had thought beforehand, and then just put everything into actual clear functional systems and having the papers. It's like very idiot proof. Like you
Yeah.
literally, it has everything laid out for you. And then the biggest one is for me that really impacted was the Insta report and having that completely laid out. Like nobody has ever shown me something that would function like that. Nowadays, imagine a patient coming in pain and then you're not going to work on them. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. The modern world, that just has to be. So, yeah, the system. In fact, so many of our systems and procedures, wellness plan, resign, you get so used to it. It's like it's hard to even identify. It's hard to break down which of those are really the most impactful. Whether it's a team huddle system, the team training system for the team meeting, you know what I mean? All of these things. Um, okay. What are some of the best things that have happened in your life as a result of being part of the group?
Well, the entire practice is it changed the entire trajectory of my life. When I started with you, I was doing adjustments on the street, in the gym. Like I used to have a sidewalk sign that said $20 adjustments. I adjusted people in front of Starbucks. I adjusted people everywhere you can imagine. But my goal was, like, I thought I was worth $20. That's all I thought I was worth. And in my mind, like, I was going to open up a knockoff of the joint, because in my mind I was worth very low value. Like, that's the value that I put on myself. And then being able to join this group, like, now I see my true worth. And the more I do, the more I feel that I'm worth. So I continue to work harder and harder for me to feel comfortable asking for $3,000. Like, I feel extremely comfortable asking for $3,000. And before, I was very nervous, even asking for $50.
Yeah. And it's got you to the point where your collection per visit hovers around what?
My collection per visit is around $115.
Yeah, right where it should be, 100, 115. And we're trying to get some 120s, 150s. Okay. And can it even be approach 200? Yes, it can be. Okay. And we can slowly work there as we continue to expand. Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. Why do you think all chiropractors should be in Winner's Edge for at least a few years? What are some of the things that they have to get that they would only get here?
The main thing is, when you graduate school, I can speak from that perspective. So when you graduate school, you just don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. And then being able to learn from people that have been in practice 20 plus years, being able to learn from the mistakes they've made coming up in the profession and dealing with patients, and the conversations they've had, and being able to come up with the responses to those conversations. Like, it's collapsing timeframes. Like, before, this would never have been possible. Like, somebody earning $100,000 a month in their first year of practice, that's not possible. You literally have been able to collapse the time frame that it would have taken me to achieve these goals. And the same thing for these people that would sign up. You collapse time frames. You learn from the professionals that have come before you.
Yeah, he makes a great point there that by learning and applying, you don't have 5 or 10 or 15 years to wait. You have to win now. So you want the information now. Okay, you don't know how to run a small business. You don't know all these things in the world of practice management, let alone Medicare, right, and PI and all these other things that we have to have the right experts that we can contact. And you've used a lot of our different experts for different things you've had questions about.
Yep.
And of course, there's another thing Winner's Edge brings is contacts and resources to get stuff done as best we can. Oh, that's fantastic.
A lot of times it's like people think, whatever amount of money you got to pay an expert is actually something like that. I pay for target coding to learn that aspect of things. I pay to learn from you. You have to pay to learn. There has to be an energetic exchange. You're not going to get anywhere unless you invest in yourself.
Yeah, just like you want people to pay you so they can get care in return, we have to pay a little bit also, right? To get the information we need. We don't wait to become more successful, and it's not expensive because remember now, your patients are paying anyway. And of course, it's 100% tax deductible to begin with. All right, so you already kind of told one, but let's see here. Do you have any unique or memorable, like Tory stories, anything that was said or that you heard or that you saw that struck you, that made you think, or anything that you can recall like that for fun?
The lemonade stand was probably the most impactful one, but when I knew that I was in the right place was when you draw the stick man on the board. So that concept is pretty much what my entire basis of chiropractic was founded upon. Like, I learned, I studied Dr. Thurman Fleet throughout school. That's what that was my main focus. My main technique was the zone technique. And then all of a sudden I walk into seminar and that's the first thing I see you draw up on the board. So I knew I was in the right place.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, and there's lots of ways the stickman can apply. It's sort of the above, down, inside out concept, and you can apply it to how you feel your body and these other things chiropractic wise. We just want to use it for the fundamentals of, hey, you're thinking about stuff in your mind and you start to get those feelings and those emotions and those conditionings and those habits. Okay, hey, you're going to start to act that way, and those actions are going to bring those results. And so you've learned, hey, okay, I can program myself to become more successful, right?
Yes.
You want to continue that programming process. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love the lemonade stand concept, and you know exactly what that means now. I really don't have any forms and system, and my structure's no good, and my banking, and it's just a lemonade stand. And that's how many offices are. And no, there's a professional way to do it if we want to scale up and do big things and not have it blow apart. Because you can get to 100 a month and you say, hey, do you think you can still grow?
Yes.
Yes, because the system allows you to grow. You'll never outgrow the winner's edge thing. Okay. All right. It's there to help you grow to whatever degree you want to in practice. Well, let's just do this now for fun. And I know you've done this before in front of a lot of people, but maybe let's just take and just do the condensed version here, okay, to round this out a little bit. Let's just take a second and just on a timeline, where were you born and you went to school and what happened, and just a little bit of the stuff that you might share with us about where you came from here, and then how that set up your mind, and then getting into chiro school, and just tell us your story, and just try to do it in like a 5-minute thing. Just take us through so people really know the man, Dr. J. Go ahead.
So I was born in New York, in Queens, New York. I was raised in Yonkers, New York, so right around the Bronx. And I was raised by my father, actually. So the courts took me away from my mother, and then I was raised by my father. And my father instilled in me the work ethic. Like, we were in a very, very bad neighborhood, and he would wake up early and drive me 45 minutes to a nicer neighborhood and paid $6,000 a year for me to go to this school. This is not college. This is just to get me out of that type of environment and then show me what's possible. So I've always had that appreciation and that desire to like achieve more, to show him my level of gratitude. So that whole to whom much is given, much is expected. So that's where everything kind of started for me. We moved to Florida. My wife and I moved to Florida to get away from that type of environment because I was falling into those patterns. Like there was a lot of gangs, there was a lot of drugs. The street that I lived on had a bandana tied around it to mark off the territories. Like when I would walk home, I had to walk through certain neighborhoods. I couldn't walk through other neighborhoods. I got into trouble out there, and it wasn't a good place to be. But we went to Florida. I was able to get myself away from all of that negativity, and I started working at Walmart. I had a bachelor's. I was pre-med, and I just needed to make money, so I started working night shift at Walmart, and I became a radiation therapist during that time. I started treating cancer, and while I was inside the vault where they did the cancer treatment, I heard the voice of God tell me to become a chiropractor. I'd never been to a chiropractor. I knew nothing about chiropractic. I didn't even know what the word meant. And when I got home, there was a letter in the mail, like a postcard, and it said, "Do you want to be a chiropractor?" So like that, I immediately called the school. I registered. I was blessed that they took all my credits. Still haven't been adjusted, never toured the campus, and never looked up what the word chiropractic meant. So I started school. I had a 2-month-old and I had a 3-year-old. And I started school, and I was driving. I was commuting an hour each way. And I was blessed. I had a lot of great mentors that guided me in the principle and showed me what chiropractic, like the potential of what chiropractic could be. Incredible. And that's how I ended up where I was.
Did you hear that, everybody? He's got 2 little ones. He's married. You don't want to uproot that. So you're driving back and forth for like 3-something years.
I ended up,
and the anatomy tests and the studying and the boards and all of that, okay, after moving to a state that isn't even your home state. And how wonderful is she to be with you and say, okay, honey, I'm going with you, right? Incredible. All right. And get down to Florida, has the chiropractic calling, off to the chiropractic college, and then gets out and starts working for a place that has limited in its capabilities. How did you end up there? So now just take us from graduation, then kind of quickly to where we started with your practice. You graduated. What did you think you were going to do? What were you being told to do? Oh, everybody should be an associate. How'd you end up doing what you did? Go ahead.
So in school, I received my first adjustment. It was the worst experience of my life. I started crying because
a big guy like him, okay? You know, it's going to take a lot to get a guy like Junior to cry. So he's not happy.
I was on my knees praying and crying that I had just quit my job. I left everything that I had to do something that was so horrible because the adjustment was just so bad. And that's what I thought chiropractic was, because I had never been adjusted. So that's when I started the concept of training, because I did kickboxing. So I used to fight and I used to travel to state fighting. So I was like, if this kind of looks like karate, martial arts, kind of something like that, let me train the adjustment. So I started using a medicine ball, getting better at adjusting. I became known for my adjusting skills in school. I would have 17 patients lined up waiting for me to get adjusted in student clinic. And that was in an hour and a half. So I had an hour and a half to adjust 17 people, and people
Right, that's
saw
back in the
value.
time where they want you to take 30 minutes a person.
Yep. And that's what I was getting at. Like they were bashing me. They told me that I was a flying seven, whatever the other, and that what, but people
You know what?
saw value in what I
A
had to
really,
offer.
really, really, really good flying seven will save a million people's lives if you're good at it. If they're
Yeah.
good hands-on contact, you know what I mean? People want to bash that. Are you kidding me? I would take a really, really good flying seven right this second. Okay. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
So then,
So you're going through school, but that didn't, you hadn't indicated whether or not you thought you were going to have your own place or work for somebody else or
yeah,
what.
so I was going through school, and like I started getting all these mentors and people guiding me, and then I had doctors reaching out to me. Like they started reaching out to me and asking me to become an associate. And then one of my mentors who taught me technique, and I went to like over 60 seminars while I was a student, wanted me to open up one of his franchises. And then one of my other mentors told me to come preceptor at him at the joint. So I chose to go to the joint because I would get hands on there.
Mm,
And like in my mind, I just wanted to get my hands on people.
mhm.
And that's all I thought that I needed. I didn't think I needed the business. I didn't think I
Yeah,
needed all this other
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I was just so focused on getting my hands on people. So I went to the joint, and I thought I was going to open up a joint franchise. And I was learning, and I even went through the whole process of opening up a joint. And I decided to work for them to learn more about it. And that's when I ended up picking up your book and thinking, no, I could do this on my own. Like I don't want to be tied down to a franchise. They were making what I thought was a lot of money, which was like $100 to $300,000 a year profit. And you have
Yeah, they're not even
13
that.
doctors working there, all these
Yeah,
CAs. Like I ended up seeing that I was better off going this route.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there are all levels, and we want to be in Winner's Edge land. We want to have the biggest impact on people in the nicest office that generates the most collections so you can build the biggest life. There is a profit zone that we're seeking from our incredible service, and we want to maximize all of these things. And so, really, there's no practice model that will outdo
Yeah.
the Winner's Edge model in
The
practice.
main the reason that I went to the joint was because the school tells you that you're going to fail. So I had this fear in my mind that you're going to fail, you're going to fail. And I was like, these people already are established. There's over 800 locations nationwide. This is the route that I got to go because it's safe. And then that's why I ended up there.
Yeah, he used this. See that? Because he felt it was safe. Yeah, and just because he hadn't met other people. And if I would have talked in a class or done something, you would have met,
Mhm.
So it's so much of success just happens to be who happens to cross your path. Like what if you don't get the book? What happens? Where are
Yeah.
you? Think about that. You don't realize how the one card you give somebody, or the event, or the one of his patients that talks to a family member that comes in and changes their life. What if they wouldn't have talked to? It's just so amazing the impact we can have on people over time. Well, fantastic here. Anything else you want to share? Okay.
No, that was everything. Like I just want to anybody that's watching this, or even any doctor, the importance of pouring into students, because right now that's like my main passion. I try to dedicate at least 1 hour a week to reaching out to students and pouring into them and showing them what's possible. And then Dr. Tory confirmed like how many people I've sent his way to talk. They just need to be able to see what's possible so that they're not surrounded by all that negativity, because it's a bunch of failed chiropractors who are teaching the students.
Yeah. Look at you two. He's spending this time to help these students, and maybe that's why he and I get along so well, because he sees me doing this stuff like writing. I'm sending these books for free. This is not cheap. Okay, it's $60 just to mail the box, let alone the box itself, let alone to write. And it's a it's something to care enough about other people to go out of your way to help them become successful. And there are very few people that care enough to do that. And Dr. Jr. is certainly leading the way with his efforts there. And some of the people that you talk to, they end up becoming part of the group. Some of them don't. It's just one of those deals. But it doesn't change that it's your job and it's my job to see if we can reach people and change those lives. Because the more lives that he changes through chiropractic, the more good things obviously are going to come back to him, since his efforts and unselfishness are what started it. Okay, are we good to go?
Yes, sir.
A fantastic case study, Junior Acevedo in Cocoa, Florida. Can't wait to see all the exciting things he's going to do in the future, and how many more chiropractors he can show that, we might say it this way, how many more chiropractors he can show, okay, the right path up the mountain versus just hanging out, in the parking lot before you even start the climb. Okay, great job. We'll talk soon, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Later.
Thank you.
Awesome.